Now, it's been an awkward few days for the Justice Secretary, David Lammy, whose answers about prisoners being released by mistake has prompted more questions. Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservatives, called his performance at the dispatch box embarrassing, but as you can see, we're joined now by the Shadow Energy Secretary, Claire Coutinho. Morning to you. We're going to, of course, talk a little bit about your brief, but I think we should start on prisons because it has been the story of the week. And I wonder if we can start with just some honesty. The government are making a mess of this now, but it's not just their problem, is it? This was something that happened under 14 years of a Conservative government too.
Well, look, accidental prisoner releases do happen and they're all awful. And underneath us, the average was about 60 a year. But in the 1 year that Labour have been in power, it's been 262. So something is clearly going wrong in the way that they're managing the prison system. And I think one of the things I found disappointing is that David Lammy didn't answer questions at PMQs. When he was asked to come back to make a statement, he didn't. And they're obviously trying to make a very political, partisan point. But something has gone clearly wrong. Like you say, that increase has been so high that I think what they need to do is understand what they are failing at and why, so they can get a grip on this. That's the least that the victims deserve.
Well, the charge from the government this morning is that you guys knew that this was going to happen. You knew the parlous state that the justice system was in, and that's actually one of the reasons why the election was called when it was, because you didn't want to have to deal with it over the summer. What do you say to that?
No, so if you look at some of the criticisms that they're getting, there is something that they're doing in managing the prisons at the moment, which means that more people are accidentally being released. And actually, I don't deny, I'd love to see more prison places, and that's something that we need to do as a country, but this is about managing prisoners, and something is going badly wrong. Under us, it was not this high. The average was about 60 a year. Each one of those is too many, OK, one person too many, but the 262 we're seeing now is new, and it's clearly something going wrong in their watch.
Yeah. Let's move on to another topic today, and I wonder, as one of your other briefs as Shadow Equalities Minister as well, you've seen this reporting about the Metropolitan Police this morning, described as having racism baked into its systems. Do you think the Met is institutionally racist?
Well, we've seen multiple reports on this now, whether it's racism or sexism or misogyny, and there's clearly some cultural issues at the Met, and I think it's enough reports. We need to get on with it and deal with it. And the one thing...
How do we deal with it?
Well, cultural change is something that it starts at the top. You need to make it very clear what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. There needs to be accountability when people cross the line.
Well, the top is the Commissioner, Mark Rowley, who refused to say that it's institutionally racist.
Well, I'm not sure whether institutionally racist, just calling it that is the term, but if you're seeing racism in an organisation, what you need to do is make sure people are accountable and make sure you're very clear that those kinds of comments that we're seeing are not acceptable, and that people are they face the punishment that they need to when they are making those kinds of comments.
A lot of this is around trust in the police force from minority communities. Under Kemi Badenoch, you guys want to increase stop and search. If you were back in power, you'll know that former Prime Minister Theresa May reformed that, said that it wasn't a useful policy. She said it was unfair to young black men back in 2014. What's changed since then? Why do you guys want to increase it when Theresa May said it was no good?
Knife crime has gone up. People are dying. And the truth is, I worked with the Centre for Social Justice. I actually worked with some gang leaders in the past, and it's the young black men in those communities who are at most risk from knife crime, and it's those young men that we're seeing lose their lives. Those families are losing their sons, and I think it is really important that, however uncomfortable it is, and you have to recognise the challenges that stop and search brings for people, and it makes them feel like they're targeted, but it's more important to save lives.
So you're not worried about the targeting, because that's the concern, isn't it, that young black men in certain communities feel targeted, and it reduces trust within those communities for the police force?
And look, I understand that, and I've talked to people who have faced that as well, but the risk is that you say, because we don't want to make people uncomfortable, we don't want to do that, that you are not picking up knives, but you are not picking up knives which are being used to kill people.
Absolutely, but it's not uncomfortable, is it? It's about people who have nothing to do with this, perhaps being put up against a wall and asked to open their pockets because they're black and walking along the streets.
But like I said, isn't the ultimate result you want to get more of those knives off the street so that you don't get these murders happening? And if you imagine, the family who is losing their sons because of these crimes, I do think it's important that the police get a grip on it.
We haven't got loads of time left. I do want to talk to you about a couple of other topics, if that's all right. COPs going on in Brazil at the moment. Have the Tories just given up on trying to reduce the amount of carbon in the atmosphere?
Well, I'm afraid what I think we're doing at the moment is completely counterproductive, because what Ed Miliband is doing is increasing the price of electricity. In January, he's about to sign up to the highest prices that we've seen in a decade for offshore wind, much higher than the current price of electricity, and he's locking those prices in for 20 years. On the other hand, if you care about decarbonisation, what you want people to do is adopt electric vehicles, adopt electric heating, all of those things. And you can't do that if you're making electricity more expensive, which is why we're launching a Cut My Bills campaign. We've got a cheap power plan which could cut people's electricity bills by 20%, whether that's for decarbonisation, whether that's for cost of living or growth. The most important thing any energy secretary should be doing right now is focusing on lowering people's bills.
And Coutinho, while I have you as well, the last time I saw you, you were pregnant. You've now thankfully given birth to your baby, but it was a very difficult birth. I'd like to ask how you are, how baby is, and what did you learn from that experience? It must have been entirely traumatic.
Yes, we had a tough time, but I'm really pleased to say that everybody is doing well. My son is 10 months. He is standing, very wobbly. He's got 2 teeth. He's very dribbly at the moment, but he's a complete joy.
Good. Well, I'm glad to see you, and I'm glad to hear the baby's doing well as well. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.